Have you ever heard of a place where life suddenly stopped, where people were there one day and gone the next, as if they were erased from existence? No bodies, no signs of a fight, just vanished. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most chilling and enduring mysteries of the 20th century, the vanishing village of Anjikuni Lake. Our story takes us to the desolate, wind-swept tundra of northern Canada, near the shores of Anjikuni Lake. In November 1930, a seasoned fur trapper named Joe LaBelle arrived at a small, thriving Inuit village he knew well. He'd been there many times before, always greeted by the warmth of its people and the bustle of daily life. But this time something felt really off, like the whole vibe was wrong. An eerie silence hung in the frigid air. As LaBelle walked into the village, he found fires that had been left to burn out, with pots of food still hanging over them, now frozen solid. He stumbled upon a half-finished sealskin kayak, with the needles still threaded, as if the person had just stood up and walked away right in the middle of stitching it. The villagers' rifles were found leaning against the doorways of their huts, something no Inuit would ever do. In this harsh environment, a rifle was essential for survival. Leaving it behind was unthinkable. The strangest and most disturbing discovery came when LaBelle checked the village's food caches. They were fully stocked. In a land where starvation was a constant threat, leaving behind a full supply of food made absolutely no sense. It wasn't a famine that drove them away. LaBelle, shaken to his core, immediately made his way to the nearest telegraph office and sent a message to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The Mounties, led by Sergeant J.E. Nelson, launched an investigation. What they uncovered only deepened the mystery. Just outside the village, they found a grim sight. The village's sled dogs, vital to the community, were found starved and tied to trees. Even more bizarre, they had been buried under a 4-foot snowdrift, suggesting they had been dead for at least a few weeks. This contradicted the state of the food in the village, which seemed to be only a few days old. The investigation continued. The Mounties found an Inuit burial ground nearby, but the graves had been disturbed. The stones that sealed the tombs were neatly stacked to the side, and the graves themselves were empty. This was a profound sacrilege, an act no Inuit would ever commit. So, what happened to the nearly 30 men, women, and children of the Anjikuni Lake village? The official reports from the Mounties at the time were surprisingly brief, and some later even denied the incident ever happened, fueling countless theories. Let's explore some of the possibilities. One of the earliest theories was that the villagers simply migrated somewhere else. This is a common practice for Inuit communities, following caribou herds or seeking better resources. However, this doesn't explain why they would leave everything behind: their food, their weapons, and their essential tools. And it certainly doesn't explain the empty graves or the starved dogs. Another theory, and this is where things get really strange, involves extraterrestrial abduction. That's right, aliens. Proponents of this theory point to reports from other trappers and the Mounties themselves, who claim to have seen strange, pulsating lights in the sky around the time the village disappeared. Could an alien spacecraft have descended upon the village and taken everyone? It sounds like science fiction, but in a case with no logical answers, people start looking for illogical ones. The idea is that these strange lights were a ship, and the entire population was whisked away for reasons unknown. Then there's the supernatural explanation. Local legends speak of ancient spirits and malevolent entities that roam the barren lands. One such entity is the Wendigo, a mythical creature from Algonquin folklore, believed to be a malevolent spirit that can possess humans and drive them to madness and cannibalism. Could the villagers have fled in terror from such a being, or could they have fallen victim to some ancient curse? This theory taps into the deep spiritual beliefs of the region and suggests that forces beyond our comprehension were at play. Let's look at a more grounded, yet still disturbing, possibility. What if there was no mass disappearance at all? Some researchers and debunkers have suggested that the entire story is a fabrication, a piece of journalistic sensationalism that grew into a legend. The story was first published in a 1930 newspaper article by a journalist named Frank Edwards, who was known for his love of a good, spooky tale. It's possible he embellished a much simpler story, or perhaps even invented it entirely. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police confirmed Joe LaBelle was real. But there's no record of a big investigation into the mysterious disappearance of a village at Anjikuni Lake. They have a file on a minor welfare check, but nothing matching the scale of the legend. However, the story just won't die. It was reprinted in books and magazines for decades, each time with new, more dramatic details. The number of villagers grew, the strange lights became more defined, and the mystery deepened. The name Joe LaBelle is often cited, but finding concrete, primary sources from him is nearly impossible. So, we are left with a puzzle. A story that is either a terrifying account of an inexplicable event or a masterful piece of folklore, a modern myth born from the lonely, desolate beauty of the Canadian North. Was it a mass migration gone wrong? An alien abduction? A supernatural curse? Or just an elaborate ghost story told around a campfire that spiraled out of control? We might never really know what went down at Anjikuni Lake. The lack of concrete evidence and the conflicting reports make it a historian's nightmare and a mystery lover's dream. The empty huts, the frozen food, the abandoned rifles. These images are seared into the legend, creating a chilling narrative that continues to captivate and haunt us. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones with no ending. What do you think happened? Did Joe LaBelle stumble upon a real-life mystery? Or was he the first person to spin a yarn that would become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Was it a natural event? Something unexplained? Or something we're not meant to know? I'd really love to read what you think. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating mysteries. Only here on Forgotten Clues.